Good night, welcome. We are at week 6, and tonight's topic is about online setups. More specifically, how to set up your business online, why your business isn't getting customers, and how to fix your online business setup. And a quick note before we get started, I've been getting questions like, is this legit? Is it legit? Referring to things like in the week, I think maybe 3 episode where I talked about the interactive brokers investment platform that, yes, is one of the few available to Caribbean applicants. And yes, it is legit. And side note, it really has been warming my heart in terms of the response from some of you. And well, from all of you, but I mean the specific typed or messaged responses that I get. And even when I'm out and about, like this one guy, he sells fruits and vegetables. And imagine he is interested in setting up his investments overseas and that kind of stuff. So I always told myself when I set about this whole venture that if even one person has a takeaway, then yeah, I'm achieving my goal. So every week when people message and say didn't know about this thing or never heard about that or now I know this thing is possible, that is what this is about. It can be a little trying at not trying, that's not the word. It understand I'm here talking into a webcam. I can't see anyone. It essentially feels like you're talking to yourself. So to know that you're getting value from it, thank you. And also got questions about the affiliate and referral program that I launched. And that is also legit. And it is as simple as it seems. So if you are interested in earning commissions in a very simple way, it is very passive income, especially if someone signs on through your affiliate link and signs on to one of the subscription offers that I have. I literally do all the heavy lifting, meaning setting up the technical stuff for them. If they buy through your link, you earn 30, 40, or 50% commission on whatever the sale is. And if it's a subscription service, yes, you continue earning every month. It's not a pyramid scheme. You don't have to hit certain targets every month or week or day. I have seen other affiliate programs out there and I designed it to be the anti-affiliate program because I don't like anything that's scammy. And the interesting thing is maybe my stuff has been so simple and straightforward that people think it's too good to be true, which I understand. We've all been burned before. We've grown up being super cautious and being taught to be rightfully so. But there's nothing hidden in it. You can ask me any questions. I actually welcome the questions because it tells me you're listening. Um, what else did I have lined up for today? Oh, also a note. I know like a lot of the things I say on this may come over as like I don't know nonchalant or matter of fact, but that's because I have already gone through the trial and error for say days, weeks, months, hours researching, trying, doing, failing, succeeding. And this is now the information that has been repackaged down in a simple format that's digestible and easy. So you don't have to go through the stuff I went through having to figure it out. So when I mentioned being able to set up a US LLC 100% remotely from Barbados, and yes, you can do it from anywhere in the world. They probably have some countries that are restricted, but not the Caribbean. You can do it. And why I can spit out all these things easily now is because I spent the time researching, doing, trying, and figuring out the best, most simple ways to do all of these things. Anyway, tonight, as I said, is about online setups, how to get your business properly set up online so people can buy you, pay you, buy from you, pay you, and see what you have to offer. So this is not about the pretty or fancy websites or logos or anything like that. This is more practical, realistic advice, especially Caribbean friendly, but it works anywhere. And it's also based on my experience and expertise and knowledge. I have to say at the beginning of every episode, or at least during, there's not legal or financial advice. Okay, so I made notes as usual. I'm going to be referencing them, but the first thing I wanted to touch on is just at the core reframing the way we think about things like the same online setup. So, first, let me ask you to ask yourself, do you know how many people are searching online every single day, every single hour, every single minute? That's a key thing to think about because oftentimes we forget that people are just like us. So the first thing you do when you want something modern day, You have a phone in your hand, a laptop, whatever, a smart device, you Google it. And the only things that can show up in the Google search results are things that have been put online. So if your business is not online, you are absolutely missing out every time. And a simple check is to literally go and Google yourself or Google your business and see what shows up. And I touched on this in a previous episode, I believe, where I gave the example of the guy with the car valet and Googled myself versus him. So it's not about being oh so much better or the best, but you have to be visible online and findable. And do you know how many people even search before they visit a country? Now, Barbados being the dot that it is, love my country, but yes, we are small in comparison to many other countries. Our main business, or has been put to us by government, has traditionally been tourism. So you can imagine before you travel, I'm sure you Google certain things about the destination, the hotel. People worldwide are doing the same, especially when they're traveling anywhere else. That includes Barbados, the other Caribbean islands. So imagine if somebody is out there searching best food places to go in Barbados, and your business is number one, not online, set up properly, and doesn't have the right SEO, which is search engine optimization, and dialed down, all that is, excuse me, is the ability to be findable online, basically. So the search engines can pull your information correctly based on the keywords and text and images and all that that you have on your different social media profiles. Website is one of the top ones that they pull from. Things have improved over the years because of the different levels of integration. And Google now owns YouTube, that kind of stuff. So now those YouTube results show up more. Instagram and Meta results show up more. However, you still need the key components to be able to be easily findable online when people go and type in those kinds of things. So people Google things like, best food, best taxi, best services before landing, even, or when they have landed. So imagine if you're not there visible online, you're invisible, and people can't find you, and invisible businesses can't get paid. So it's really simple. Using an example from one of my friends, well, two of my friends, they co-own this um, food truck at Savvy on the Bay. So great product, great location. Is a high traffic zone, meaning the actual area there in St. Michael. But imagine if people were already finding your business before they even landed. Again, if you're not set up the correct way online, people cannot find you, or it's going to make it that much harder. And you want sales to be frictionless. The key thing to make money is through sales, and you need it to be as frictionless as possible. So for most businesses, the demand already exists. Unless you have this super novel idea, most demand, like I said, already exists. People want food. People want their hair done. People want skincare products, different things like that. So as I said, unless it's some novel idea, the demand actually typically already exists. You just have to connect the dots and bridge that gap. So what people think they need versus the reality. So we've touched on this before again, but to go over, most people think they need the logo, the fancy website, and every social media platform. And that is not where your time has to go. I do recommend setting up all the social profiles so you're findable wherever people are, because most users tend to stick to one or two platforms. So even if you don't plan to be active on, say, Twitter, no, X, but everybody still calls it Twitter, or Facebook, because those things, well, Facebook is now seen as, you know, outdated, I guess, to most people in whatever age range. But the point is, if you still had your social media profile set up there, just with something basic, a basic pin post saying, hey, we're not really active on Facebook, but this is where you can find us, and point them to where you want them to go, that still counts. So I still recommend setting up all your profiles. But if you're not able to do that, at least focus on the main ones where your target audiences do spend most of their time. One of the other things people get caught up with typically is just trying to look legit um, before they have the key components lined up. And I mentioned it before, where What you need is a simple product or service that you can sell and a way for people to buy it from you. So yes, the website, the logo, those things do have a place, but you don't have to start there. I've also suggested before that you just start with a simple service to even test the waters to make sure that people want what it is you're even selling. If not, you spend all that time, money, effort, energy into building this dream website that you think is then going to magically bring in customers. But if no one even wants that product or service, you just wasted all those resources. So it's not that you have to start there. If you focus on that part of looking legit before being findable and making sure you have a saleable product or service, then you are losing out. Ooh. Oh yes, and I did have a point I wanted to say. I know some of you feel like you don't have time because I hear that all the time. I have been there myself more than once, even when I knew better, because it's an easy trap to fall into, saying, okay, all of this sounds like a lot, or I know I need to do X, Y, Z, but I don't have the time. But the thing is, then you're constantly running around like a headless chicken, constantly outing fires with the same business or your services or stuff like that. And you're saying how tired and burnt out you are, but it's like you have to stop the bleed first. So first step is actually literally pressing pause on what you're doing and focusing on correcting or implementing the right strategy and tools. And then that is what alleviates the stress and everything. If you keep doing what you've done before, you will obviously keep getting the same results. And that obviously in there was not a condescending one. It's like I'm saying it because most of us already have that answer and we know what we need to do, meaning I have to find this time, but we let every single thing under the sun get in the way. And if you don't make a firm decision to make the time, you will continue making the same mistakes. So if you don't make the time to fix your system, you'll stay stuck inside the problem phase and keep trading your time for money instead of simply getting to enjoy life and business, because business can be and should be enjoyable the way I see it. If you like that more hustle culture, good on you. I most value my time and I want to be able to spend it with friends, family, loved ones, and doing what I rather be doing instead of say hustling 24/7. And with the right systems and tools, that is what gets you there. So I know again, people say they don't have the time, but this is the exact stuff you need to make the time for. So, in terms of simple system thinking, let me show you how simple this can be. Last week or the week before, so recently though, my aunt, she, one of my aunts, she recently started, not recently, she started selling peas, so green peas, local green peas. She goes and picks them. I know sometimes she carries along another aunt or some friends, things like that, and she has them for sale. It's a simple, straightforward product. However, at one point it was just really word of mouth. No one really knew they're selling. She does have a sign up at times, but she discovered quickly and easily from the time she made even a story post to her WhatsApp saying peas for sale and a picture of the peas, people started messaging. Now would you look at that? That is a simple system. So systems don't have to be complex. The actual most functional ones tend to be these simpler ones where somebody can see what it is you have to offer, be able to contact you to get it, and be able to pay you. It's as simple as that. And after I saw that she made that step, um, finally, because it's telling her to post for a while, I also took my steps and then some inspiration struck and I started setting up an Instagram page for her. Bearing in mind, she's not going to be managing any Instagram page. I just wanted to do that, but that's a side note. But I called it Peas Please. Don't go and search for it yet because they didn't set it up properly. And I have to go and get some proper images because I didn't want to use the AI one for that. But in terms of even strategy for something like that, we live in a time where organic produce is like gold because there are no pesticides in it, nothing like that. That's the branding angle I will go with for her page, where you're getting that fresh local produce straight from the source, as opposed to all the imported stuff that tends to have in preservatives. And studies keep finding more and more that a lot of these things lead to health issues. I think in the Caribbean, on another side note, when we start to more value what we have to offer and realize how superior the produce tends to be, yeah, gold. Anyway, in terms of online tools, Hmm. I got some questions about AI and website builders and AI websites. So on the AI websites, nothing is wrong with the AI websites per se, but I do caution people you have to know what you're getting yourself into and what your end goal is. So with the AI websites, I don't generally recommend them to people because yes, they're promoted as okay, get your website set up in like minutes, where you can type in a prompt and the AI puts out a website. So let's say you type in a prompt saying, I own a hair care line and I want a website. The prompt can literally be as simple as that. It will give you a website. It will show buttons, information, all of that. However, the buttons are not just clickable like that. So they still need to be connected somewhere. And most times it still ends up taking a developer to finish that same website. So no, they look good on the surface, but they're not functional out the box. Now, the website builders have gotten better where you can publish them and make the same buttons functional, but oftentimes you don't know who is behind the same website builders. And let's say they decide tomorrow, after you've been paying for this service, that, okay, yeah, I've made enough money, I'm done with that. And you don't even know who's behind it, what company, what individual, then you're kind of out to sea and your website could just be gone just like that. Where even the domain, things that you paid for, they could be gone again, just like that. And most times it runs into problems with things like, say, bugs and all of that, the technical aspect, where most people still end up turning around and going to a developer to get a website done anyway. I would say if you're serious about business, save yourself the headache. If people are in it for a quick in and out, then I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made for that. People have had success with the EA websites. Again, I'm not knocking them. Nothing is wrong with the EA built ones, but you just have to know what you're getting yourself into. And the other problems with them, because looking good on the surface is not the same as being functional or fully functional. But some of the other issues I've seen with them, there's no real SEO, which I mentioned before, is search engine optimization. Yes, they would have typically the right keywords on the surface, but the back end inner workings are not often set up the right way, and you can't control that part. So one thing I don't recommend. There's no proper structure. As I said, the backend functionality tends to be lacking, and there's often no support if something does break or go wrong. Um, but there are some good ones, and they keep developing them, making them better and better. But as I said, most people end up paying someone after all of that anyway. Similarly, there is also the free website trap that you often see online. So, yes, some of the same sites or even non AI builder websites um, website options, they offer a free website. What that often looks like is that they give you a free website on a subdomain. So it doesn't look as polished when somebody goes on it or clicks on it, because if you had a domain called domain.com, it would be terry.domain.com, whatever your brand or name or whatever you want it to be. Or it would be a string of like numbers and letters, things like that, that don't look very polished or professional. Is it the end of the world? No, but it's not typically what you want for, okay, right, what you want if you are going for that professional look online. And often they're actually freemium, which means you might start off paying for free features, but if you want the better features, then you have to actually pay. So it typically starts at, say, like 20 US a month. Now that quickly adds up for somebody in the Caribbean, and you often then can't get out of it, where you have to keep paying that subscription in order to maintain the same website. And oftentimes you can't take your name with you that you've paid for wrapped up in that package. It goes with layers and layers, but just touching on some of these things based on the questions I've gotten. So if you're paying that 20 USD a month, normally for the lowest tier, the lowest paid tier, that quickly adds up to what, 240 US per year. Now, you can find better website services where you either pay the lump sum upfront and end up paying way less, and typically you just have to pay for your domain name renewal every year, or you can find better services that are way more suitable in terms of price and everything. So yes, they might seem free or they are free on the surface, but you end up paying more long term for them if you start to really add up the costs. Oh, and someone messaged up to yesterday. Yes, I do websites. You can check out my offers on my website, terryalori.com, or just message me, DM me on any of the social profile platforms I'm on. We could chat from there. But as I said, you are. I like when actually people try things for themselves. In terms of the safety and the online responsibility, one of the other things I want to touch on that I don't really hear anybody talking about is just the safety aspect of doing business online. So the key points I always recommend to people: use a separate email address. I tend to recommend Gmail and Google products because I don't get a kickback or anything from any of these people. I don't have any affiliation with any of these companies, but Google tends to have a lot of flexibility with their products where they can work across the different devices and infrastructures. So Gmail, they don't currently and have never, to the best of my knowledge, put caps on the number of email addresses you can create. That doesn't mean go and start spamming their servers or creating like 100 email addresses, but if you already have an existing email address that you use with, say, your personal stuff or even your professional stuff, like your banking, your logins for your email, all of that, your primary email, I suggest you simply create a new email account. Gmail, again, I recommend it because it integrates more with a lot of different tools and platforms. So, for example, I'm sure at some point you've been on a platform or website where they tell you, okay, log in with Gmail or Google. That is because Google does have that wide integration with a lot of different platforms. But create a new one and use that to set up your new business profiles, platforms, things like that, so that you can have a degree of separation between your personal stuff. You don't want a case where something gets hacked or you get locked out of something and every single thing is gone. Um, I don't recommend linking all of those platforms and tools to your primary accounts. So also enable two-factor authentication. So 2FA. So that two-factor authentication, a lot of platforms don't even make it optional anymore. It can be and feel annoying, but it's in place for your safety. Where instead of before where you would just go to a platform, log in with your credentials like email and password. Now, the two-factor authentication means there's that layer plus an added layer, meaning a second factor. So that is typically where you would see platforms or tools asking you to um, enter the code we just sent to your email address or to your authentication app or the code we sent to your phone, things like that. They're good to set up. So when it is offered on platform, I suggest enabling it. Do I have it enabled on every single thing? No, because as I said, it can be annoying, but do it. um, and just so we're clear, nothing out there is 100% safe. I mean, we have burglar bars on our windows, on our homes. You drive in a car, use a seatbelt. All of these things, just like these online suggestions I'm making to you and recommendations, are to give yourself the best chance, but they can't guarantee. So it's not that you would it's not that you would never or could never get hacked or something like that, but these things give you the best chance at survival online and doing it safely. So it doesn't have to be to the point of paranoia because I mean, I hate to burst your bubble, but if you have ever signed up for any social media platform or if you own a smart device, you're already accessible online. The best hackers can get you. Once upon a time, they said Apple and iPhones were unhackable, and the hacker said, "Yeah, watch this." So everything is breachable. I guarantee it. However, you can give yourself the best chance. In terms of the domain privacy, just a story I remembered before we move on. Maybe last month was the last website I set up for this girl. She has a spa, and she had given me the login for her domain name so I could connect and everything to the website and Don't worry about all the tech part. But the point is, from the time I logged in, I saw that the domain privacy was not on. That is a key feature that needs to be on. And this is, again, where some of the issues come if your online setups are not done correctly or by someone who, well, knows what they're doing. And that's not even to toot my own horn. Even if you're doing it yourself, I rather you be educated on it. So the domain privacy and protection, what that is let me back up a bit. When you buy a domain online, because of the international structure, you have to input your information as the buyer, meaning your name, your address, your email, your phone number, all of that. That information goes to a couple different places, like the registrar that you bought it from, but also a little higher up than them. Um, there's this place called ICANN, this company called ICANN, ICANN, and a couple things like places like that. But they have to have traceability for your information. Now, what that means is that your information is also automatically visible online, worldwide, to anyone who's looking. And that's not what you want. So, a lot of registrars, the better ones, offer domain privacy where they shield your private information and list their public information. Whereas on the back end, yes, your private information will still be visible to who it needs to be visible to, like the registrar and that entity I mentioned, I can, but it's not widely available to every and anybody, which is, again, a way better setup. You don't want everybody knowing your name, address, date of birth, where you live, all of that. And just to connect everything back as we wrap up this episode, and as I said, was about practicality, not going into every single technical aspect, but a lot of the advice is meant to be very beginner friendly, so you can just at least attempt stuff, be less afraid or less fearful to just try. But anyway, so to connect everything back and tie it all together is not just about the tools, is about awareness. And hopefully, understand that people are already searching and visibility is everything. Those two dots, if nothing else you leave with, just remember those people are already out there searching. I guarantee it. As I said, you just have to think about yourself. If you want something, you first thing you go and do is search for it online. We all even coined the phrase years back, Googling it. We Google it. So apart from that, simples systems are what simplify your life. And that's what you want to spend your time and focus on. And again, I will reiterate, I know you don't feel like you have the time, especially entrepreneurs, small businesses, solopreneurs out there doing it all by yourself. I get it. I understand it. I live it. But you have to make the time for the right actions. One of the right actions, one of the key actions to get yourself out of that constant survival mode and constantly out in fires is deciding, like I said, making a decision, because only you can do it, to find the time to sit and strategize properly and implement the right tools and systems, or get somebody that knows how to do it to do it. I keep saying it doesn't have to be me because I rather people just make progress. I don't really care how it comes once it's legal. So it doesn't have to be me. This series is not about me just pushing my products or anything like that. It's about giving people the information I didn't have readily available to me. That, like I said, I had to go through trial and error to figure out and find out myself. And this is about giving you it for free so that you can get started and go further faster. Other reminders: the cheap shortcuts tend to cost more later. So yes, you can tinker around with them, but just bear that in mind. Also, safety matters. So all of this is how you move from struggling to better structures. And just in closing for this last minute, if you take nothing else from tonight, people cannot buy from you if they cannot find you. A big part of that in 2026, we're in the modern era, is being able to find you online. So yes, it makes no sense just sitting there on what it is you have to offer, whether that's a service or a product or both, and no one even knows about it or no one can find it. It looks like being able to be found online. And if your system remains the same, meaning if it remains broken, then your business will continue to feel hard, but it doesn't have to be. So if you want more resources, tools, and breakdowns from tonight or the other weeks that I've talked about, remember to join my free community. The link is in the description below this video. And every time I do a live video, YouTube automatically records it and it's available for replay. There's a full playlist if you've missed the other weeks, so you can catch up. So just join my community, the Wealth Circle, which I host on a platform called School. And I have a resources hub in there. All of this is absolutely free. This is not a scheme, it's not a funnel. You go in there for free, access the tools and everything, and everything's organized for you, like I said, in the resources hub. If you need direct help, that's the best place to DM me instead of all these scattered platforms, but I do try to check in on all the different platforms every day. So that's another week done. Thank you.